Tonight's Bar Rescue, Win, Lose, or Brawl with special guest host Lisamarie Joyce.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
If you get in trouble.
Hello, fans of Bar Rescue. I'm back, Captain Kev, at the helm, and tonight on the phone with me, the one, the only, the talented, the beautiful, the lovely, the assertive, the charismatic, the magnetic, the one with the it factor. The only other one I know on that as great as you is our dear Mia, but the great Lisamarie Joyce. LMJ, how are you, babe?
Thank you. Hi.
You killed again.
Oh,
Like it's
that was a dramatic week.
So what made it dramatic? Was it the brawl?
It was just, I think, the brawl, the people. I got through lots of layers of these people throughout this week. I think deeper into their lives than I normally get, and it was just dramatic. You can ask anyone on that episode. I was very emotional, very, very emotional that week.
Really? So of course we don't see that in editing. You know, there was one key moment I saw that I was like, oh my God! Like I don't think I've ever seen an expert be so assertive, and but now this makes sense. So take me. Well, I guess we'll go chronological at some point, but just general thoughts. When was this taped?
So this was about 3 months ago.
Okay.
I think now. And we were in Oakland, California, right outside San Francisco. And it was just kind of flooding. It made me flood back of every bad bar owner I've ever worked for.
Oh,
or every bad bartender
God.
situation I've ever been in. And it's just like people who say this show isn't real. It was like, I mean, ask my husband how I was when I got back after filming that. I was a mess. I was so emotional.
The reason I said oh my God was because someone like you with so much bartending experience, for you to say that this pushed every button or brought back every bad memory of every that means a lot. It's not like me saying it. I tended bar for 2 years. You know what I mean?
I worked for some shitheads.
I know you have. I mean, listen, the bar, I still feel the industry's filled with them for many reasons. And I don't know how, I know physically it takes a toll on John to be traveling to all these different cities. He's away from his wife and the amenities of home, right? So now, and at his age. And then what I factor in is you're dealing with these dysfunctional people. That's the nicest way to put it. And trying to get through to them. Yeah, and I know from in Hollywood where I work, I'm known as the Hollywood career coach, and I do it for free, but it's so frustrating when you can't get through to somebody, and I see it on that show, and I'm doing it just for free, and it's fun. It's a hobby, and I enjoy doing it. But to do that for a living, I mean, and in the bar business, I have to think it's taking a toll on John. So I'm glad you said it, because you just had this most recent one. But imagine this guy's doing this every week.
Right, all the time. I tell John all the time, I don't know how you do it. And especially after that episode, I ended up texting John afterwards and just saying, thank you so much, because having weeks like this really put me in perspective how great you are, and like how he can handle this every week and deal with these people every week and really change lives. I could not ask for a better boss.
So for you, so what was it about this place? Was it, and I want to be fair, what's the chef's name? I don't have it in my notes. I forgot. I love
Aaron McCargo.
Chef Aaron. Okay. I love him too. Some of your faces in the recon, your reaction looks of you guys were just freaking priceless. But listen, we've seen dirty bars before. We've seen people drinking behind the bar. We've seen a lot of that stuff. from what you're saying, there's more than what we saw. So just tell me, or us, what are some of the things that just really were so unsettling?
Well, we'll start with Recon.
Okay.
The place was just, I mean, you guys saw it. It was relaxed. The girls were playing. Like,
they're all drinking behind the bar.
All drinking behind the bar. There's a best friend, Church, who's coming behind the bar making his own drinks. There's the owner who looks like Eeyore hanging out in the corner playing pool.
Yeah, he's playing pool.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just he doesn't care. He was just like Eeyore.
Yeah.
But and people are just kind of doing whatever they want. And the crazy thing, the thing that really shocked it for me, and this did not make the cut, but whenever the brawl happens, there's all this stuff happening, and chairs are being thrown, and this guy's being beat over the head with a bottle. There was a woman sitting at the bar just still eating her tacos and watching it like this happens every day. And we just kept saying, but there's a woman that's just eating tacos. And that really blew my mind to the fact that, like, all this craziness has happened and these people see it so much, it's not even shocking.
I remember
it's not even shocking. They just move around it.
Right. And I remember, God, it might have been a nightclub, and there was a shooting at it. And I sold sausages outside of the nightclub, and it was the same thing. There would be gunshots, people would run, and then like a few minutes later, right back on the dance floor. And it was because they just were so used to it, which is crazy.
Like, this woman almost got taken out by a chair, and she just like slid her purse over and continued to eat her tacos. And I thought, how sad that these employees and this owner and these guests are in this environment every day and don't know that they can have so much better.
Now, have
an experience.
There was so much going on to fix the place that we didn't even get into the fact that it was a violent. We've had that before in bar rescues where it's a violent environment and that has to be dealt with. You guys, you didn't even deal with that, did you? Or did you deal with it behind the scenes? We didn't know.
Oh, we dealt about so much on this episode. I thought they might turn it into a 90-minute episode because there was so much. These people were so angry and so hurt and so taking it out on each other. It was just crushing to know that this is how people live their everyday life. There was way more material than what made the cut.
This is the workers, you mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I might not have seen the violent end of it as much, but I saw the anger and the bitterness. I mean, again, alcohol, if really used irresponsibly, is going to bring that out. And I remember, one of the places I worked too, everyone was just miserable. Oh my God, they were just so miserable. And you know, when you're the one who's young and you're happy and you're positive, like, oh my God, I have a bartending job, I'm so excited. And I swear, people hate you even more. You know, like you're it's different. You're a deputy when you're with John. So you can, thank God you have a badge, in a sense, to lay down the law with these guys. If you didn't, and you imagine if you just went in to be a bartender there, what would happen to you?
They would eat me up and spit me out.
Yeah. And again, to no good end. Nothing good comes out of that for them, for the bar, for anybody. Wow.
They couldn't even move forward. I'm a very positive person. I'll get snippy if I have to, and I'll get very assertive when I need to be, because sometimes I get very upset about the way people behave. But I'm very nice and I'm very positive, and I'm one of those bar trainers. And I've had many people tell me this, like, we were kind of scared when you were coming to train us because of how we see you, but you're actually really cool. And I am. I just go in as like, we're all human beings. Like, let's make money. This is how you make money. This is going to be great. We're going to train. And the people that I get assertive with, to me, have asked for it. It's the people that continue to greet everything with a negative. And until you break that mold, you cannot get better. Until you can just listen to some advice and say, okay, I'm going to try that, you can't move forward. And these people were, okay, but. No.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, but and okay, but.
You have to move forward.
Jesus, you guys, employers, lose that from your vocabulary. The only time, I always tell people, the only time you should talk back is if you're being misrepresented in some way. You know, if I say, Lisa Marie, last night once again, you left all the food out in the bar and it went rotting. That's the time you go, excuse me, I didn't do that. You know, okay, that's a time. But other than that, you know, it's the yeah, but. It's like, stop. And unfortunately, a lot of managers have put up with that. But all you're doing is slowing down the process, you know?
Slowing it down so much to where there's no resolution. Everybody's sitting in their own pity pool and everybody's out for themselves. And it's just, that's not what this environment is. If you want to be out for yourself, go be a real estate agent or something where you get all your own commissions. But behind a bar, it's a team.
You know what? So I'm really big on education. Did you say that to them? Because I never heard that, but you're right. You're right. Real estate, I'm going out to sell my own house, and that's
always it. That's one of my speeches, hands down, is this industry is not for everybody, and that's okay. But this industry is for people who want to be a team player and who want to, you know, talk to people and teach and train and have fun and deal with the, you know, booze industry. But it's not for everybody, and there's so many people that get so stuck in it because they see the fast cash, and it's like you can make a lot more money if you used your talents elsewhere.
Right. The kitchen itself was
really sad. Sad outcome.
So did you not even? So it was so bad, so toxic, and the fight, whatever. Did you not even deal with the fact that the kitchen was pretty low? I mean, it's pretty low in terms of bar rescue lows for standard kitchens. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but it's pretty bad.
One of the worst for sure, but you're almost at that point where it's like, this is like such a small issue because you guys have so many issues going on within yourselves. Mm-hmm. How can I mean, I can't even expect you to say hi, please, and thank you to each other. Like, we'll address the kitchen issue later. I mean, these people, I felt needed some therapy, needed to realize how to communicate with each other. The kitchen was an absolute disaster. I think it was Sherry was her name.
Yeah.
I mean, she couldn't keep up. What was she going to do? She had no help, and she was expected to cook and clean that whole thing by herself because, you know, those girls weren't doing it.
No.
And
hell no. And who did clean it? Who did? You know how we always have the marathon cleaning, the whole staff cleans. Who cleaned that? Was it just Lee and her?
I'm pretty sure it's just Lee and her.
Yeah, because I knew
whether they brought some friends in to help clean them or whatever, but that was, you guys need to clean that up, and we had to go home. Like, it was seriously so draining to be around these people. I've never been so drained in my life of just, come on, how do you break through? And in the outcome, I mean, we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Days, but
now,
it ended up getting more dramatic.
Very important question for LMJ. Are you Team Church or Team El Boogie?
Team El Boogie.
Yeah, Team El Boogie. Okay, tell me why.
Yeah, we were really sad to see him go. He did throw the first punch, but Church was in his space, and Church, I think, in the shot, you can watch it, kind of shoved him a little bit.
He did.
And then El Boogie threw the punch. I don't think Church had any reason to be back there.
Nope.
El Boogie was protecting his booze very aggressively, but protecting it. And Lee, who's the owner, who should have got his friend the fuck out of there, excuse me, should have stepped in, but he was over being Eeyore playing pool, man.
But you know something?
I was El Boogie all the way, but it wasn't my decision on who goes. And
I know, and I'm Team El Boogie as well. I guess I've been there before where I've had the friends who, you know, for sentiment and old time's sake, you allow to take advantage of you or your business. And I've actually had multitudes of them. And then thank God, as I met my fiance, Maria, like in my 30s, I started weeding them out. But, you know, I'm sensitive to that.
That's why I try to explain to these people, those aren't the guests that you want. You know, just like, you know, in your 30s, those aren't the friends that you want anymore. It's like you got to figure out the type of guests that you want in your business.
Also, you know, you don't, but I mean, Lisa, have you had that problem with friends? You know, that you seem like you're, I don't know, You're pretty healthy, but
Yeah,
for the
like,
rest of us, we have
they're
those
not your
problems.
friends anymore.
Well, okay. Did you have friends come to your bar expecting to drink for free? I knew I had a lot of friends who
Yeah,
did that with
no.
me. Did
I mean, yes, in my earlies, but I was always one of those people that was just like, I can't. I'm going to get in trouble.
good for you.
And I think I was always thought like I would get in trouble. And if I did, I mean, there was the one bar with a terrible bad owner, and on my last day there, yeah, I gave a bunch of shit away.
Right.
But other than that moment, I was just always like, no, you're annoying me. Don't come in here and try to get free stuff like I'm trying to work and make money.
So here's
That
the
was
thing.
always-
Okay,
that
so
was
the
always-
reason I'm saying this is because I know a lot of people listening to this are in that position. I feel like it's a very relatable position. If you, I hate to really go there, but if you're Catholic, then I feel like you're even unhealthier, and this is something that happens a lot. And whatever, I don't need to get into why, but it just does. But I think it's something that does affect a lot of us in business, where we want to hook up our friends. But if it's not enough for you to know that this guy drinking booze for free while you're deeply in debt, is making trouble with your staff. If you can't see as a businessman that that's hurting your business, then look at it this way. That's not really a good friend. You know, that's not a good friend. Like, a good friend wouldn't do that. You know, a good friend would actually be bussing tables. Like, okay, Lisamarie, I had some people down on their luck
Yes.
who would come to my bar that were my friends. And while I didn't give them free drinks, I would pay for their drinks. And you know what? But guess what? One guy, there was no security at our bar. It was in the middle of Cambridge, Mass. And it was super dark outside, and there were a lot of thugs there. And you know what? So I took care of him, and guess what? He was basically security. I had another friend who would, he'd bring up all the empties and help. And, I mean,
Oh yeah, I definitely had those.
yeah, and that's a way you're having a friend. Like, that's what a friend would do, and maybe
It's helping you out.
Yeah, like, okay, so if he's a little down on his luck and doesn't have money, fine. But that you could tell just by the way that guy was dressed and how he's behaving. Like, no, he was like, I do whatever I want here, and not a good friend.
He's a minister.
Oh God, please, again, don't get me on that.
I
Don't get me
know,
on what
can
that
we, like,
means.
seriously?
Yeah. And a lot of, there's great ministers out there, but there's a lot of ministers who just love hearing themselves talk and love the attention.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean
True.
anything to me. But I felt really bad I did feel bad for Lee because I've been in that situation. That being said, as I got to know his dad, he seemed like what happens with a lot of first-generation children. I mean, you have some of the cultures will raise a first-generation kid to be humble, hardworking, hungry. And then others, because the parents worked so hard and struggled so much, they don't want that for the kids. So they're like,
Right.
No, I don't want you guys to go through what I went through. And so they basically spoil them, and it seemed like in this case that Lee was a spoiled boy.
Hands down.
Who got mommy and dad's money to do this, and that's why, was behaving the way he was. And I felt my heart broke for the father, because I see a lot of these parents, working class parents, who work so hard, and they don't want their kids in pain. They don't want the kids to struggle like they did. For a variety of other issues, they basically give them everything. And they make a little monster usually.
Yeah.
In so doing. Going back to, and I love the names though, El Boogie, Pineapple. I thought all that was cool. I was like, I know
Oh my God.
it's sad because
These
I know
names
I'd
are
have laughs.
hilarious.
I'd have laughs with them. Like, I know I could party with these guys and have a good time. I feel like I could.
They had very different sides. I thought that too in the first couple of days, and I changed my mind rather quickly towards the end.
Not fun to party with. They wouldn't be fun to party with?
I mean, Nikita lost an eye the last time she partied, so I don't know.
I didn't know. See, I thought that was like she was going for something different with a different colored contact lens.
No.
Okay. Interesting. Well,
Sounded a little intimidating.
okay. All right. So we're gonna get to her outburst at the end, but the stress test was interesting. You know, great. I love John's idea of the red cards, the penalty cards. One of the things I'm always saying is, if you're a sports fan, when I work with people, and I'll ask them if they're a fan of sports, then they say they are. I say, okay, well, you understand that when you rack up penalty minutes, you're beating yourself. You know, it's hard enough to beat the other team, but but allowing yourself to be beat by yourself, that's like so stupid. And I always say you're racking up penalty minutes or getting penalty cards. So I love the penalty cards, and we see they're abundant at the stress test.
What I love that it was a visual of the mistakes going on in front of their eyes. So anytime there was a mistake, a red card was going down, or if somebody wasn't greeted, a red card. So we could look around the room and see, like, even though you're running around and you're really busy, honey, look around. This is all the mistakes that are happening around you every day.
So
your
going
staff
to Lee.
isn't seeing it.
You mean Lee?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get to Lee. How did the staff do during the stress test?
They were just really overwhelmed, and I think they at that point in the week they were on the we're going to get better and learn. They've kept saying, we don't know anything, we've never been taught. So they were just, I think, excited to make drinks and learn. However, I later found out that was just their way of trying to make themselves look good in that moment, pretty much.
Yeah, the spotlight. Just love
These ladies were some sneaky ladies, let me tell you. We'll get to it.
Oh, my God. Wow. Okay, so in the stress test.
But I defended them in the stress test.
I know you did. No, I know you did. What you said to Lee, I don't think I've ever seen an expert do.
I was pissed. And here's why, because the girls kept telling me, we don't have product. We come in, we don't have limes, we don't have this, we don't have that. And, while I did say, well, somebody needs to step up and be in charge of that, I mean, you can't expect your owner to do everything for you, step up and have someone be lead bartender or something. But they were saying that Lee doesn't help them, that they have to do all of this stuff. So during the stress test, it was true that they didn't have the help. And, they're running around. There's no systems. They don't have anything that they need. And Lee walks by Pineapple and says, stop it. You're making me look bad. And Pineapple turned around to me with tears in her eyes and he says, I make him look bad. I'm freaking out. Because it's very stressful. I mean, you've been there during a stress test.
Yeah.
You know what it's like. And it's just, I mean, even as an expert, I now have enough experience to keep my composure. But as a young bartender, I would lose it. So I was just furious. And in that moment, I thought of the owner that I worked for that once told me I needed to lose weight and look better to make him look better. And I just lost it, Kevin. I got so emotional, and everything in that moment, I didn't even see anybody else on the other side of the bar. It was just that moment of, no, I have this platform right now to tell this owner it's not okay. Hopefully this makes the cut so other owners know it's not okay. And part of it did. And I just told him, you're making yourself look bad by running around sweating and not knowing how your bar runs. And you can't blame that on your employee because you own it. Your employee is just clocking in and out, and part of it that didn't make the cut was just me saying it takes an extreme amount of confidence to be back here behind a bar and to have a smile on your face all the time and to be everybody's friend and everybody's confidant and know what everybody drinks and be the most knowledgeable at everything that makes sure everybody's having a good time. That's a lot of pressure. And it takes a lot of confidence to stand behind a bar for 8 hours and give that experience. And I hate seeing owners who tear that down and who don't respect the confidence it takes to get behind a bar. And I just let him have it. Oh, I was freaking out.
Yeah, what was your line? I wish I wrote it down. It was something like, did you drop an F-bomb? Do you remember what made it in the cut?
Oh, yeah. I had said, you do not tell your bartender they're making you look bad. The only thing that's making you look bad is you. And don't remember right before I said something pretty mean. I'm sure I called him a name and then said, get the fuck out of the bar. Like, you don't even deserve me behind the bar right now. It was like, you're dragging everyone down right now. You're being the mess. These girls are trying to smile and trying to have a good time. And he's yelling at them for trying to have a good time with their guests. because he's busy. Well, sorry, buddy, it's support. That's the way it works.
How was
Welcome
John
to
with
being a bar owner.
that? John was okay with that?
He came right back and said, what happened? I was like shaking, and I get very, it's very, very, very real to me. And
I know.
He came back and said, what happened? I told him, and he said, well, good. You let him take it. I was like, it's just, he doesn't even know what it's like to be back here, John. He's like, I know, calm down, get back to work. Okay.
But I think it was bold
John
of you.
is really great about letting me feel what I feel.
Yeah.
And he respects that I have a passion for hospitality, and I have a passion for dive bars. And you don't have to have a high mixology bar just to be able to go to your corner bar and have a great time. So I think that's why John and I work together so well, because we have that same passion for just give them a good time. We'll fix it when the doors are closed. Give them a good time when it's open.
Because I haven't talked to John. I'll text John, but because you're like so freaked out by this episode, this experience. Was John the same way with this one, or was it just business as usual?
He saw what it meant to me. I think to him it was, he's seen people like this way more often than I have. And he was just, he gave me a big hug and said, I know this is really rough on you, but thank you for keeping it real and keeping it honest and being who you are. And he said, that's why you're so great, because you are who you are, and you're nothing. I can't not be me. It's hard for me to fake it.
I know that comes out though. And that's why we love like a lot of the experts too. It's like that honesty that they find in you guys. But I've never had I don't think I've ever seen an expert kick the owner out of the bar. That's why I think it's really.
Get the fuck out of my bar. I couldn't. There was nothing else to say. And I remember I turned and looked right over at one of my very great friends who is a camera and audio. They're just like, woo, like what just happened? And I was just like, I can't even believe this is real life right now. Like,
only Lisamarie.
Don't let him back here.
You are a character. So we go to training, and that's all standard. Mm-hmm. But I love John. I know John has taught in three ball, always talking about they want to keep changing the show up. They want to keep changing the show up. And so I love so we had training and it's fine, but then all of a sudden a black screen comes up hours before the opening. I'm like, oh no, what the F is going to go on? And everyone is it looked like some hotel room or
okay. Yeah.
Where was that?
So we did the training. Everybody made up. Everybody was happy. Everybody was excited to move forward. So the day of the reveal, we have an off-camera training where the bartenders, the owners, bartenders who are not part of the, who are not working. We can't have all 20 of your staff, be there every day. We pick out the most important people of your staff. So people who maybe are servers or bussers just want to come get some extra training. The experts do an off-camera training. So they come to the hotel, and we woke up that morning with them at the hotel. There are no cameras there. There's no busybodies. Like, it's just relaxed. And it's, I think, that moment that I can break it down with them of, here we go, we're moving forward. And you can get into the stuff that we don't have time when we're filming. So get into stuff of this is how you prepare your bar book and stuff that really the audience doesn't want to see. It's the boring business side. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting doing the training, and we're having a fine time. Pineapple and Nikita had decided to show up late, which I had already thought was very disrespectful. And they just showed up, and as soon as they walked in the room, I just felt a lot of negativity from them and cockiness. And so I was like, well, ladies, you're late, like an hour and a half. We only have a half hour left, and then you have to go open your bar. And they were just kind of cocky, and I started talking. We had talked about sharing tips, and that it's very rare that you have a bar that does not share tips, because that's uncomfortable for the bar guest, because there's multiple people behind the bar, but you can only have one person get your drink. It's just, you share tips. It's a team effort. And it's the way I've always done it in any bar that I've ever worked in. You share tips. And so when they got there, they were notified that Lee has decided that they will share tips moving forward. And they turned on me, and they started screaming at me and yelling, and I left the room. and they said that they're quitting. They're not coming tonight. I was called a lot of names. Lee was called a lot of names.
Wow. Were you, LMJ, were you afraid? I know you're a tough chick,
yeah.
but were you scared?
I ran out of the hotel and hid in the parking lot.
Wow.
It was mind-blowing that these women who had perceived to be the victims the entire week then come back, and the reason, let's be honest, the reason they don't want to share is because they're stealing. And we had found out they're stealing, and so why should they share the money they're stealing with? So we get, obviously we want to document this. This is a very important part of their story and a very important part of who they are. And I think a very important part of why Lee is where he is. And so we brought cameras, and Nikita decided to come talk. Pineapple stormed out, decided not to be a part of this anymore, which was her decision, which is stupid because she looks like an idiot now. I'll just say it.
Did you have cameras on her at the time? Or was this still off camera?
She left before we could get cameras.
All right, Lisa, LMJ.
Called me a lot of names.
Oh, shoot, you can't. You were like scared. I'm just saying someone in there needs to pull out an iPhone. Let me play producer for a second. Someone needs to pull out an iPhone.
I mean, and in that, when I'm running out of the hotel, I'm thinking, God, I should have had this on tape.
Well, now you will.
Just so people could have heard the names that they were calling me and the horrible things that they had done after I spent that entire week defending them to their boss.
Well,
but at the end, Nikita decided. I mean, you saw the blowout.
Well, we got her. So then,
herself.
So wait. So then they rushed cameras in there at some point, right?
Rushed cameras in, and Lee was basically saying Nikita decided to come back and talk it out, and she did come out into the parking lot and try to apologize, but everything was but, and I kept trying to tell her, this is day one, baby. Like this is day one. Everything that's happened stops, and I think she was too scared of how in control she was of Lee's money, and she was going to lose that. She was going to lose that, and they would have to go back to being honest and fair. And for some people, they can't do that, and that's really sad.
No, most people can't. Once you start stealing, it's like a drug. You can't. We used to see, because in the carnival business.
That when she had come to sit down,
no,
that Lee could talk to her, and maybe it would happen. But you saw.
No, honey. Let me tell you something. Being in the carny business for years, and all we dealt with was cash. We would say they were almost bit by a bug. The minute they started stealing, it was like drugs. And we could never get them back. We could never get them back to not, because they now in their brain, this was a certain number they were getting every time they worked, and now all of a sudden that number to be reduced significantly. No, it just never works. You just have to get
why
rid
would
of
I
them.
Work harder to make less?
Exactly. So you just so the universe was with him in the fact that they did react or in that way they did, and to dump him, but Yeah,
it was the craziest bar rescue situation I'd ever been in.
So I'm disappointed now that as a fan. I'll tell you why, as a fan and a producer, because while it was a great episode, and I loved getting that moment from Nikita being crazy and out of her mind, and I was really proud of Lee going, you know what, beat it. An hour before the open, that took such balls. But at the same time, I feel like they missed it. I'm going to bring this up to John. Like, I feel like what you're saying and what was captured are two different things. I feel like they missed it.
And I think, and it's too that way, but for me in defending, I think there needs to be a moment where it's real for them. You know what I mean? The training, I think, is so important to have where it's just for them.
I get it. But we've seen it. But we've seen the training. We've seen that stuff so many times with Bar Rescue. I feel like you could have compressed it, and I think fans would have
Who knew that? I mean, we had no idea these girls were going to explode and just decide, I don't want to share tips. I'm going to leave.
Right. But I'm going to tell. I'm going to get word. Okay, you don't. But I'm going to mention to John that's why, your interns, your people, everyone should be prepared with their iPhones to get whatever they can. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I get in that moment you didn't because you were scared. But somebody should have. Again, if I'm playing EP right now, I would be like, I wouldn't be mad at anyone for not getting it, but I would say, okay, fail safes from now on. Like, let's all be armed and ready. I always say, Maria, when she worked for Extra, No one wanted to go out during Hurricane Sandy. No cameraman. NBC didn't want to risk it. You know, Maria went out with her iPhone, and all that footage, I think in the 25 or 30-year history of Extra and Access being on a half hour from each other, they preempted Access Hollywood because Maria had iPhone footage of Hurricane Sandy. And that was, the iPhone footage was how many years ago, wasn't even what it is today. So,
yeah.
And this is a side note, you know, whatever. And I'm probably doing too much inside baseball for our fans, but I am gonna mention that to John, because like I said, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was great, but I'm so glad I'm talking to you because that's not, we don't quite see all of that in what we're seeing.
I mean, yeah. By the time we got cameras there, Pineapple said, "I'm out," and Nikita decided to talk about it and decided she couldn't keep her cool. At the end of the day, Lee had a couple of good people on his side that came in and trained with me and were excited about jumping behind the bar. And I hope Nikita and Pineapple well. I just wish that they could have stuck around and really learned something and really bettered themselves instead of just walking out and getting so upset about sharing tips.
Well, did Pineapple want to come back like Nikita did?
No.
No.
No,
Well, Sharon,
we tried and we tried.
Yeah, but sharing tips because
just was not happening.
Sharing tips, like I said, you cut into a certain number she's hitting on a nightly basis, and then the job's not worth it. You know,
and absolutely. And when you're talking to these people, you know, Pineapple had dreams of doing a lipstick line, and Nikita wanted this money to buy her child shoes and all this kind of stuff that they have, you know, lives and families that they want to be a part of, but they're stealing from the place that's making their money, and now they don't have a job. It just,
right.
it really confused
not
me.
thinking it through. And yeah, the lipstick line. I mean, we even got her doing the lipstick in the bottle. You know what I mean? So she was on the right path to promoting herself in that way. But didn't want to be honest. Let's face it, that's what it was. But I give Lee credit for throwing them out. And you know, I've had this experience on movie sets, even where you get rid of one or two of those bad apples, and then all of a sudden everyone's breathing and having fun. Like, was there a difference now when you had the two new girls come in?
Oh, hands down. And Josie, God love her, she was just like, this is so much better. This is so much easier. Like, everybody's happy. And I mean, at the end of the day, we found out where the bad apples were and that Lee needed to, you know, grow some balls and fire some people. And by the end of the week, John did what he does best, and he figured out how to get those bad apples, how to give Lee some balls to get rid of those bad apples, and what the triggers were, and gave him a new bar.
I thought the recon was great. I really enjoyed the flat panels and the fog behind them. Like, I like when John
that was fun.
Calls out those kind of features. It looked like almost a skyline there. You could see the TVs, but I couldn't quite make out. It seemed like there was depth.
It was basically like an industrial skyline. So paying homage to what the area looked like around the bar and all the workers that came there. That place is going to be way more of a lunch, early dinner than it will be late night at all. So, which is so much even more important for hospitality because you're spending more time with each guest.
Right.
You know,
and you can't hide behind the booze. Meaning, you know, if it's a late night bar, a dive bar, you know, you just you can have a shit bar, but they're coming in just get drunk. You can let them get hammered or whatever. But yeah, when it's lunch, then that's not going to fly.
It's totally different. Yeah, and you need people in there, you know, people who want to be a team, and especially when you have a small, independently owned place like that. Like, it's got to be a team. You can't have people who don't want to be there and not be part of the team.
Lisamarie Joyce, thank you so much. You made my day. You made our fans' day because I'm without Dorinda and Gabby, and they always bum out when I do it alone. So I'm not alone. I'm with one of the greats, the all-time greats, if not the greatest bar rescue bar expert. Okay, do we have more episodes coming up with you?
Yes, there's 3 that are taped that have not been out yet, so they'll be coming.
Yay! And then, what are you and John prepping for the the convention coming up? Like his.
We're working on the National Restaurant Convention and working on some recipes for a recipe book right now, and then doing a ton of his consulting. If you have a bar out there and you want to hire John's consulting team, we will come.
Oh my God, yeah, I'm so glad you guys connected. You know, I really am.
He has been my dream boss, the person that holds me accountable, who guides me, he teaches me, and he's just. I feel like we're the same kind of energy. So we work well together. Yeah,
God, you both have such a passion for the business, and just to have someone like that with that much experience, and he likes to help people. So you're.
I was lucky to find him.
Yeah, well, you know what? Blessed, fortunate, not necessarily lucky, because you have something special too, and it's that open-minded, that positiveness, and you obviously have an it factor on TV, but we see a lot of people who have that on it factor on TV. But the fact that you connected with John, that's you. That's not John. I mean, it is John, but John's seeing something in you, but it's something that you have. So it's really super, super cool. And it's been hard for me to do the show because I have some other issues I'm dealing with right now. But if I'm here next week, hopefully maybe you can call in again.
Yeah.
I'd love that. And when you're in LA, we love you up here no matter what, but it's just.
I need to make my way there soon.
We love having you in studio, but at the very least, just love having you call in and give your thoughts. And I think next week's, the teasers always get me. So next week we have an owner who sold the bar to someone else, still works there, and he's actually sabotaging it so he can get the bar back. And you see in the teaser, John was just like, buddy, whatever you do, you're never getting this bar back. And it's like, dun, dun, dun. I'm like, love it. So
I love it. God, he's so good with people like that. He is.
All right. So Lisamarie, where do we find you on social media?
Lisamarie Joyce, all across the board.
Nice.
Lisamarie Joyce.
I'm going to find you. You're on Facebook too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to become Facebook fake friends with you, even though we're real friends.
Let's see Facebook fake friends.
Fake friends, yeah. And I think in November, we're going to be throwing a soiree at the house. I'm sure John will be there, so I want to make sure you and your guy are there too.
Don't tease me with a good time.
No. I want to see you just be able to have fun rather than always doing the work. And then we have the AFTERBUZZ Christmas party too. You'll love that.
I love.
That's always fun. We get you away from it. Okay, you guys, it's at Undergaro for me. And next week, hopefully, Gabby or Dorinda will be back. But we got a tease from the great Lisamarie Joyce, hopefully to call in. Guys, please rate and comment on iTunes or on YouTube, however you consume us. I guess there's nothing really else to say except win, lose, or brawl, right? But we're just gonna win, and we're gonna smile, right, LMJ?
Yeah, win and smile.
All right, kiss your new puppy for me. Say hi to your guy, and we'll see. Hopefully, we'll talk next week, babe.
Thank you.
All right.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.